Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome inside the latest edition of Across the Cavs. Zach Weiss with you as always. Gonna introduce today's guest in a moment. We tried a couple months ago. It didn't matter. It wasn't meant to be, as the season is right around the corner. Brayden Todd, formerly known to y'all as at Brayden Ballin. He's Brayden Todd. You've definitely seen his tweets. You've seen his content. You saw his fantastic. You're one of 289,000 people that saw his fantastic Amani Bates summer thread. We're introducing him after this on Network 216. Brayden Todd, Brayden, a pleasure to finally get this going. Excited to talk some Cavs with you.
I appreciate you for having me on. Thanks for the glowing introduction.
Hey, you've earned it, man. I know you're one of those accounts that you got going, you worked your way up over $4,000. Big shout out to you. I could see it easily getting to 10 by the end of next season. There's a lot of great content he's putting out. If you haven't seen it, check out his Twitter. It's very easy to find. Go to the search bar. It's Bray_NBA. It rhymes. That's how easy it is to find it. But Brayden, what have you been doing with yourself without actual live Cavs games for these last couple weeks with Summer League coming to an end?
Man, yeah, it's been hard. Summer League was a blast watching those Cavs games. Lately, I've just been looking into gathering some film, watching our free agency pickups, Max Deuce, Jordan Yang. Looking towards getting some threads up on those guys here in the next coming weeks and previewing a little bit of what those guys might look like in a Cavs jersey. So, trying to fill in the gaps with some some basketball.
And what have you learned? What's one interesting thing you found out about some of these new guys as you've watched more tape and tried to understand how they're going to fit with Cleveland on any of them?
Yeah. I mean, I've been watching mainly Max Drew so far, just watching a lot of Heat games, and I think we might be a little surprised about some of the juice that he has offensively. I mean, you think of him as just a guy who will uh, throw up a bunch of catch and shoot threes, but he can do some stuff off the dribble, hit some 1-2 dribble pull ups, throw some pretty neat passes. There's more to him than meets the eye. So excited to see what he looks like next to the starting lineup.
It's going to be fun to see a new Heat player coming. They move the ball really well over there. They have to maintain very strict, low body fat, certain weight. They have to meet it. They get weighed every week. You get contract incentives usually when you sign with them based on that. So very excited to bring a guy that can kind of match the quick pace the Cavs will hopefully pick up. It's a very slow team, but we know Brayden when they get out on the break with Darius and Donovan, and then Jared and Evan can also throw lobs. You're going to have a lot of great dunks this year, as we always do.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But someone we're not going to have as of now, not going to have when the season starts. Ricky Rubio spent parts of the last 2 seasons with the Cavs. Announced the other day he was taking a break from basketball, stepping away from Spain ahead of the FIBA tournament, citing mental health. He's now the second Cavs player. Obviously, the first was Kevin Love to make a public statement about it. We haven't gotten a ton of detail about it. He did release a quote saying he needed to step away and take time, but I believe that Ricky doing something like this can kind of be a domino effect type of thing. I believe personally for Rubio, him being comfortable enough to announce this and to make it a public statement is showing, along with himself, with Kevin Love, and with DeMar DeRozan, that it's okay to not always be okay, and that if you need time for yourself, you can absolutely take it. So from that side of things, Brayden, what are your thoughts on the news, and will it really change that much for Cleveland?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, a lot of respect to Ricky for just announcing that he needs to take some time to himself. So yeah, I'm gonna be lifting up thoughts and prayers for him that he can get the help that he needs, and I mean, hopefully get the stuff figured out that he needs to, and come back and play some more basketball. But was looking forward to watching him and the play with the Spain national team. That's the only current Cav that would be playing this summer. But yeah, as far as with what that means for the Cavs this coming season, I was interested to see what Rubio looks like this summer. See if he looks any more like his old self. He obviously took a step back last season as far as like physically and just didn't look entirely comfortable out there. So I think there'll be some competition towards that last like ninth man spot in the rotation. So if Rubio's not coming back, I think he would have been in the conversation for it. Then you got some of the new guys like Ty Jerome that might fill in that, or you could opt to go with some more size, throw in Dean Wade or maybe even Damian Jones to get some backup 5 minutes and just slotting the guards up. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, my personal rotation that I had made and talked about on the last pod last week actually had him excluded, at least beginning the season. I was leaning toward Ty Jerome just because he's had some great experience the last couple of years playing with the Splash Bros last season. I think he learned a lot off the floor between Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Steph Curry. The amount of shot making and playmaking that you can learn in practice and from watching from the bench is just infinite. Understanding the amazing sets they run. But he's a guy that's intrigued me as another sharpshooter, someone that played with Donovan Mitchell when he was younger. And yeah, obviously Dean Wade still a couple years on his contract is someone that we're going to be looking at to hopefully with the help with a good shoulder could go back to being the shooter he was pre-injury. I know, Brayden, you were one of the many, myself included, that used to be very high on number 32.
Yeah. I'm hoping we can get somewhat of a bounce back season from Dean Wade this coming season. He just recorded a good pod with Chris Fedor on the Wine and Gold podcast, just talking about how he's been dealing with the recovery. He said he didn't feel comfortable at all with the shooting motion and the pain that was in his shoulder and whatnot towards the end of the season. So hoping he can get right. I think if he can get to where he feels comfortable, he's who I would prefer to round out the rotation, get some more size and shooting in there. Then just let Garland, Donovan, and Karras round out the ball handling responsibilities. But yeah, Ty Jerome. I mean, he can shoot it. He's got good size there too at the guard
Yes.
position. So.
6'5", right?
What was that?
He's 6'5", right? Roughly
Oh
6'5",
yeah.
6'6".
Yep.
Yeah, he's a solid player. Played at Virginia. Obviously, Joe Harris, one of the others. There haven't been too many Virginia NBA guys come through Cleveland in recent years, but we talk about that. And on that, Joe Harris, know a little bit of history. Only one Cavs birthday today. The great Lester Hudson, along with Jeremy Pargo, were the 10-day Warriors of Cleveland in those early 2010s. There was a different time. Manny Harris was that guy, and we thought Samardo Samuels and his big Jared Sullinger-like build was going to lead him to being a dominant force in the league as he put up a couple of double-doubles. Obviously didn't work out, but Lester Hudson, I don't remember him extending beyond any 10-day contracts, but he had that incredible game against Brooklyn. I think he had either the game-tying shot or the game-winning shot. That was when Gerald Green was throwing down windmill alley-oops. That happened, I believe, against the Cavs. There was some craziness in his day, and not as big of a deal it could have been. He's a guy that didn't make it big in the NBA, but is a good basketball player. Sam Dekker was acquired by the Cavs 5 years ago today and would be subsequently traded to the Wizards at the deadline. Was injured, didn't play too much, but, we did have Sam Dekker. Shout out Sam Dekker for the RT. And we finish out Lauri Markkanen, did his military service. His hair's growing back, and he threw down a beautiful reverse slam for Finland just the other day. So closing note on this little history, Brayden. Lauri's a member of the Jazz. He's an all-star now, and he's still not even in his prime yet. Last year's the beginning of what he can be, as he's not 28, which is when the prime is slated for most players to begin, which should be about the 7th or 8th year. Thoughts on Lauri and how excited you're going to be with Ricky out? He's kind of the closest thing we have to a Cav representing Finland.
Yeah, I mean, FIBA Lauri is awesome over there with the Finland team. Yeah, that's kind of when I kind of feels like that's when the breakout started to happen for Lauri last summer with the Finland team. He's just shredding the competition out there. it's fun just seeing him in that expanded role, allowing him to handle the ball, just dwarf guys with his size. So yeah, a lot of fun. I'm excited to see how he continues to develop down there in Utah. I don't think Cleveland was the most ideal fit for him, just with the cramped floor play next to Mobley and Allen. So I like what Utah's building down there with him, and yeah, excited for him.
Yeah, they had a great draft. They re-signed Jordan Clarkson. They got Ochai over there. They're still the Utah Cavs as far as I'm concerned. Until they make some moves to prove otherwise, they just love doing business with the Cavs. I mean, I would venture to say that in the last 20 years, we've made at least 10 trades. And I could name on two hands, 2 feet, and then some how many players have been on. Obviously, I just said 50. But, just off the top of my head, Matt Harpering, CJ Miles, Booz, Don Burks, Corver, Clarkson, Lowry. The list just can keep going. Niang now is a member of the 2-team club. It's just really cool that they just randomly are always doing some kind of business together. Obviously, Dante Exum, Rodney Hood. It's a beautiful thing. Obviously, big shout out to the Jazz. I'm a fan of what they're doing. Like how they really tried their best last season. Didn't exactly win the lottery, but getting 9, 16, and 28, and an Ohio State prospect by the name of Bryce Sensabaugh. So there's another Ohio connection to kind of stretch it a bit. It's fun. I think they could be a team that threatens for top 10. They might not get there, but there's a lot of guys on that team that could wind up being traded to help other teams. So Utah's going to be the gift that keeps on giving with Danny Ainge in charge, right? Just like Boston used to be with all those mediocre first-round picks that eventually found their way out.
Oh yeah, traded for John Collins this summer too. So
yeah, that's going to be fun. People are Utah Twitter's fun because they're like, should John Collins start? Should Chris Dunn start? Should Taylor Horton Tucker start? Meanwhile, they still obviously Colin Sexton has played for both. Can't forget about him. But it's so funny watching their Twitter. It's their X. I'm not calling it X. It's Twitter for all intents and purposes. We're calling it Twitter. I guess I'm going to be posting this pod on X, but I'm not right because we're not going to say Cavs X, right? You're still going to call it Cavs Twitter.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we're calling it that. But I can't wait to see what they do, who they trade. We'll have to see Kelly Olynyk get out of there so I can root for them a little harder.
See, I love Kelly Olynyk as a player, but
I do too, man. It's kind of crazy how much he's actually bounced around since Boston, playing for Houston, Detroit, Utah, and Miami.
Yeah.
But unfortunately he's a great playmaker and a great shooter, but it is what it is, right? I haven't forgotten about it, and I'll post my good content on my personal, so we're not creating beef on the Cavs account.
There you go.
But he is unfortunately very good. If I were the Jazz, I would actually strongly consider taking him out of the rotation, just trading him so you can get those Hendricks minutes. You can get your Kessler minutes, and I kind of wish they got Paul Reed. Too bad that didn't work out. But
yeah, I got a lot of talented bigs down there.
A lot of talented bigs. They might not get him. He's getting it out the mud. Utah will too in their own way. The old Paul Reed get it out the mud. But closing out before we take a quick break, Brayden, you did talk about rounding out the rotation. So is there a chance if Ricky ends up missing the entire season, hypothetically, that Craig Porter Jr. gets some real minutes over the course of the year and could possibly be in the mix to be in a playoff rotation if he shows enough this season?
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I was a huge fan of what we saw from Craig Porter Jr. in summer league, and looking back at what he did in college, just a really well-rounded guard. I mean, he's 6'2" about, not huge, but not small. Plays great defense, very solid playmaker. I think the one question that you want to see him build on this year is just being more comfortable getting those threes up. I think if he can do that, and it might not be beautiful in his first few appearances in the NBA, but if you can kind of ease him in there, could see some positive production out of him. Not sure if that will happen this year. Might be more of a next year thing, but I think it's within the realm of possibility for sure.
very rarely will you get a point guard undrafted that led their college team in points, rebounds, assists, blocks, and steals. So it could definitely be ugly, or it could somehow be absolutely beautiful. I guess we're going to see. We'll find out. Time will tell. Same thing could be true for Imani Bates and even Isaiah Mobley, who just was the king of the summer, taking home the championship game MVP. But folks, we remind you that for any rumors that we hear on the Cavs, the Browns, the Buckeyes, and the Guards, giveaways, sports bets, head to the Network 216 Discord. $10 a month, $100 a year. Easy. Win one bet. Big one. Pretty much paying for this for free. Nothing. That's the Network 216 Discord for rumors, bets, and all the latest. But as we come back, Brayden Todd, Zach Weiss. We know Brayden is the king of fantastic Cavs threads, but how much does he actually know about Cavs trivia? So I'm going to throw a couple questions at you, Brayden. We talked about this a little bit before. I'm just kind of curious to see how deep your knowledge goes and how you might do under pressure, because we're all great on Twitter. But we're on the our X. Here we go again. But on the spot. So I'll go multiple choice to start out here. All right.
Okay, bet.
Curious about your answer on this one. Which of the following four players made the most threes in a Cavs uniform? Dellavedova, Kyle Korver, Jordan Clarkson, or Channing Frye?
I want to... How many seasons did Korver play? It wasn't much. I feel like you would choose a question that has Dellavedova as the answer.
Yeah, you got me. I should have thrown a curveball. Delly had only two more makes than Kyle Korver. Two more.
Wow.
And I want to say that the difference happened because Delly made 2 threes in the Cavs win over the Spurs, which was their last win before the pandemic shutdown. Remember that crazy overtime game with the Kevin Love tying shot? Yeah, Dellavedova, yeah, 288. Korver, 286. Clarkson, 247. Frye, 242. Delly did have by far the most games played of the candidates.
Right.
With 288. Delly, 16th all-time in made threes. Retire 18. Nah.
Konia's jumper didn't abandon him in those last couple seasons.
No, and you know what? That's kind of sad. I'd ordered an NBL jersey. They were really cheap. They have jerseys on the NBL site for $20 right now. $13 shipping, but $35 authentic jersey. 5 days after I order, they tell me I'm getting a refund. It's out of stock.
No.
Terrible, dang. Man. I was really excited about that because I have the Australian national. I have the Cavs, the Bucks, the Kings. I got the Kings one last year. Now,
guess you gotta get that Luke Travers jersey then.
They're out of stock right now too.
Oh man,
they don't have my size. They got the XXL and the small. I'm not ready for that. But I want one for sure. And I would. You think Luke Travers come over next year or the year after, make an impact in Cleveland potentially if they give him some kind of role? I
personally don't quite think Luke Travers is an NBA player. He was a good pick at like 49 or whatever, wherever they took him. He brings a lot of fun stuff. Not quite sure if he can start getting those threes up at a higher rate. Maybe there's some athletic concerns in my opinion, and just I don't know. It's not impossible. But.
Okay. Yeah, no, I see him as a lesser Larry Nance Jr. who can also block shots. A little bit of playmaking, solid finisher inside. He'll take the three. You don't know what you're going to get, and he's someone that can throw down some massive jams at the rim. So a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but you never know, right? He could shine, but Dellavedova's been in his ear since he was drafted about Cleveland being great. So if anything, we get another Aussie. They've had plenty between Dante, Thon, Bogut for 50 seconds. That was unfortunate. Right. Honestly, he could have been a really nice playmaking fit, give them a really good dynamic in the big ones. But injuries happen. They're part of the game. Dante Exum doesn't get hurt. maybe the Cavs don't end up in the Jared Allen trade because Exum was traded as an injured guy, so he signed with the Mavericks. Excited to see him back in the league this year.
Oh, yeah.
But maybe if he had gotten more minutes, he would have been too good because he was starting at the time he got hurt. He had played 40 minutes the game before. Maybe he shows too much. Nonetheless, we'll see. It would be cool to see him get a chance, but if he doesn't, he doesn't. Okay, here's an interesting one for you. Which of the following three players attempted more threes in a Cleveland uniform? J.R. Smith, four. J.R. Smith, Boobie Gibson, Darius Garland, Jetty Osman. Most three-point attempts on that list. Not makes, attempts.
All right. And I know Jetty got up there. Did he have the longest stint out of those four in a Cavs uniform?
He did? Wait, did he? Hold on. No, I believe Boobie was there a little longer.
Gotcha.
So Gibson's. Oh, wow.
What? I'm going to say
seven
Jetty.
more. You're going, yeah, dang it. I got to be better. All right. Yeah, you got these. Yeah, Jetty almost 1,800. JR 1,500. Darius 1,428. Boobie 1,419. Although DG should pass him by the end of this year. He's averaged 307 attempts a year so far. And I think that's going to go way up this year. I think they're just going to be like, you know what? Let that thing go. No holding back this year. But okay. Couple more. Then we're going to talk about a certain Mr. Washington that the Cavs are potentially trading for. I don't see it happening, but it could happen. So we're going to talk about the potential of that happening. Okay. Here's a question. It's going to be open-ended, but you might know it. Which Cav has the highest single-season defensive win shares total? Just from any given season.
That's a good question.
Only the best.
It's not like Larry Nance Sr., is it?
Is that your guess?
Oh, let's go with it.
No, it is not Larry Nance Sr. Okay, where did we go? Okay. He's actually not even in the top 10, believe it or not. I'm amazed by this. This guy actually has 3 of the top 4 spots. You want to try one more guess?
I mean, is it LeBron?
Yeah. Yeah, Sean Kemp has a season in there. Big Z has a season in the top 10. Evan Mobley has had the 9th best season this past year. Brevin Knight, Wesley Person, and Ron Harper. Yeah, LeBron's got all the win share, plus minus, offense, defense, and LeBron has the 9 best VORP seasons in Cavs history, too.
I'd like to know how many categories LeBron isn't leading the franchise in.
All right, he doesn't lead in defensive rating. That was Elmore Smith. He doesn't lead in offensive rating. Jared Allen had the best offensive rating in Cavs history this year.
Wow.
Andre Miller, assist percentage. Brevin Knight, steal percentage. Big Z, block. J.R. Smith, turnover. Shout out Henny. True shooting, Jared Allen. Most blocks was Larry. Most steals was Harper. Most rebounds in a season was actually Carlos Boozer, which is kind of amazing. If Andre Drummond had played a full season, he probably would have passed them.
Oh, yeah.
Free throw percentage, he's nowhere close. He obviously leads in points. LeBron is the only Cav to get more than 4 triple-doubles in a single season. John Johnson had 4-1. Shout out to him. LeBron had the 2nd best assist season ever in 17-18, which makes a lot of sense with how they ran. He has 6 of the 7 best free throw seasons, and Don broke the record for most threes. LeBron is not in the top 10 in any season for most made threes. So that is surprising. Or attempts either.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's certainly a surprise. But all right, we'll do a few more. We'll talk about PJ. And we'll move on. All right, let's get a little trickier. So you're what, 2 for 3 so far? Okay.
Yeah.
So all right. Who had more steals in a Cavs uniform? Ron Harper, Kyrie Irving, Austin Carr, or Delly?
feel like it's not going to be Dilly again.
It is not. So that leaves you Harper, Irving, and AC, Mr. Cavalier.
I'm going to go with Mr. Cavalier.
No. So Ron Harper in 228 games had 530 steals.
Jeez.
Austin Carr in 635 games had only 418. Ron Harper. If Ron Harper stayed a Cav, his number would be retired. I think he'd have a couple of depoys, and I think he would have been a 25-5 guy his entire career.
Man, yeah. I wasn't thinking he played enough to top that, but
I'm still mad. Neither you or I were around for this, but I'm still really mad that they traded him for Danny freaking Ferry. And I will never understand why they think that this Caucasian dude from Italy who wouldn't play for the Clippers, you won't even play for the Clippers, was going to be the answer.
Man, the mystery box.
He lasted 10 years, but that was horrible. I don't think I've ever met someone that liked it, that trade.
Yeah, but
Danny Ferry, best season with the Cavs, was averaging 13 a game. His first 5 years, he barely even started, didn't even crack 21 minutes a game. He only started 150 games in 10 years. At least he got a title with the Spurs. And when she averaged 1 point per game, no, not mad. It's all good.
Well, to the people who call the Donovan Mitchell trade the worst trade in Cavs history, there you go.
Have people actually called it that? Oh, we talking about a certain we talk about HB?
I've seen him say that. Twitter's a wild place. You got people throwing out any and every opinion.
There's HB, there's him, and then there's Keisha W.
Oh yeah, that's the new one. You got Jen, I think, is the.
Oh god, one. Yeah. The three of them are all. And then there's what's his name? He's Ralph. Pull up King.
Yeah. I haven't seen anything from him in a while.
No, he's been quiet. And I'm not disrespecting them. You have the right to have your own takes, but if you're going to take the Skip Bayless route and just throw everything out there being hot, you better defend it properly because we are going to rip you otherwise. It's honestly, I think we're the same. I get actual satisfaction of quote tweeting someone that's completely off base about something Cavs and setting the record straight.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. I mean, I get it. I love Colin Sexton, and I'm there.
I miss him too, but he's not. The thing is, when he was averaging 25, we still weren't winning. That was the 22-50 season, right? Where Andre ended up getting traded. Jarrett came in. They were figuring some things out, but he was great, but not good enough still to actually help them win games, other than those two against the Nets. Never going to forget that.
Oh, yeah, man.
But I think what the difference is Don does it more within the flow where Colin was kind of doing it, picking his spots. He can still be a 20-point scorer on a playoff team, but I think when you look back and how he had another season of being injured, if you take away the Mitchell production and you give Colin the 48 games he got last year, I don't think the Cavs win 50 and they kept the same. Maybe Lowry would have taken a step forward in Colin's absence, but I don't think they win the 50 games. I think they would have regressed probably from the prior season without the trade.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I've been I feel like I'm learning new things about the nuances of basketball with each year that I watch it. I think just the way Donovan goes about getting his buckets just means so much. I mean, he gets to his spot so much quicker than Colin was able to. What Donovan's able to do in one crossover might take Colin 3 crossovers and going over a couple screens. And yeah, it's so effortless for Donovan. It's insane.
And I hate to ask this question on the spot. It's not in today's notes, but I saw this. I didn't see a single person choose him. And it's hard because we're seeing so many good guards, which is why you've never seen the likes of a Jamal Murray make an all-star game before. But SGA Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell. Would you take Don over either one of them? We're not trading. I want Don to play for the Cavs for 10 years, and I'm very content. I wouldn't trade him. But would you take him over either of those two, just as a general sense?
Yeah. No, I saw this same tweet on. It's tough. All three of them are so good, and they play different styles. I'd say all three of them. The Cav in me wants to Cav fan in me wants to say Donovan. I think you got to say Booker right now.
Yeah. Just by a small margin.
Yeah, I think it's really close between all three of them. They'll kill you in different ways. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how those three stack up against each other this next season.
Hopefully they all stay healthy and we can all join together to dislike the Suns.
Oh, yeah.
They're the new Warriors, kind of. I don't think they're going to win a title, but I think they're the new Warriors, and just that. It's almost like it's a little different, little similar. It's like when the Warriors added Boogie, and we're just like,
yeah.
Now that they're adding Beal, obviously Bradley Beal's in a better place than Boogie was at the time of the two signing. But you think about the team and how it came together, and it's like, holy crap, they're actually doing this. They're actually doing this right now. Like, I couldn't believe when that trade actually happened and how little they sent back.
Right.
And they got Jordan Goodwin, who's probably a top 25 defensive guard after last season in the entire league. Maybe top 20, top 15.
Yeah, that was more than just a throw-in for them.
Oh, man. Saw him in person last year. He was fun to watch.
Yeah.
You never know. But all right, we'll do one more trivia. We'll talk PJ, and then we will sign off. Let's see. Go interesting question here. What do we got? LeBron's most 2-point field goals in a season attempts is actually the 6th most in franchise history in a single season.
Really?
Yeah. AC has 2 seasons. Ron Harper's most shots in a season is more than LeBron's.
Dang.
Mike Mitchell had 2 seasons above him. I'm checking this stuff, Basketball Reference, all the time. I'm looking at historical transactions, looking at daily birthdays, and this still kind of shocks me. All right. Yeah. One last question. Let's go points per game. Okay. All right. What do we got? Is this the same? Okay. Nope, not the same Eddie Johnson. We're going to skip that one. Hold on. Do points per game in a Cavs uni. Let's see who averaged more. All right. Regular season only. There is no games minimum to this question. Who, Brayden Todd, averaged more points per game for Cleveland? Jeff Green, CJ Miles, Derrick Rose, or Kevin Porter Jr.?
Oh, man. It's bringing back some memories of those guys.
Yeah, Kevin Porter Jr. Why are you dunking on him? Why are you flexing, dude? You're down by 55.
Oh, man.
It's the Sixers. I remember watching that game with a buddy, and he's just like...
So this is Cavs career points per game?
Cavs career. We said it was D. Rose, CJ Miles, Jeff Green, Kevin Porter. Regular season only.
Let's say D. Rose.
No, in my head, I wanted to put him first. D. Rose is 4th.
Is he?
Yeah, so these are just random things. Most people don't think twice about it. I was going to throw Dante Jones into the equation because he actually averaged more than Jeff Green, believe it or not.
Was Jeff Green number 1?
Yeah, on this. Yeah, Green 10.8, CJ 10.6. Like, it's decimal points.
Yeah.
KPJ was at 10 and D Rose 9.8. And then the 9.9 club features George Hill and Craig Elo.
Oh, man.
I love this stat that 22% of all-time Cavs have averaged double digits.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if that's a lot or not. Like, I guess it's pretty much starting with 1/5 of the all-time starting lineup. Average 10, but it's something, I guess.
There's a number.
Yeah, there's the number. All right. Last topic here, Brayden. Paul, Jermaine, Oh, sorry, Paul Jermaine. It's not Jur, it's Jermaine, J-A. Paul Jermaine Washington Jr. He's going to turn 25 in 2 weeks. His dad just liked to tweet about his best play being in Cleveland. He's coming off a career year. Took a career high 13 shots a game, made a career high 6 a game, a career high 2 threes a game. Shot 73% from the line. He averaged 16, 5, and 2. 0.9 steals, 1.1 blocks. He played a career high of 73 games. Would he fit as a rotational piece with the Cavs in a sign and trade?
Yeah, I mean, I think coming into free agency, you could make the case that PJ Washington was the most ideal pickup for them out of, I mean, semi-realistic pickup for them out of anybody. And I mean, I think a lot of people didn't think it would have been realistic for Cleveland with them operating mainly with the mid-level exception. We saw them go a little bit above that with Max Strus. But it seems like every year there's this one restricted free agent who's talented but just gets squeezed out of their situation once the free agency market's all dried up. And I mean, the Cavs have been at the center of that recently, picking up Lauri Markkanen late in free agency. Then same deal with Colin Sexton, shipping him out to Utah late in free agency. So I could happen again. I think he brings all the versatility and unique skill set that you'd like to have as your third big behind Mobley and Allen.
Yeah, PJ's definitely shown some growth these last couple years. I think he proved this past season. As soon as Plumlee was out of there, he was a regular starter. The year prior, he was kind of the de facto 5/backup 4/5. And Miles Bridges coming back to Charlotte, there could be a slightly crowded front court considering how last year went, with him and with Gordon Hayward. You're going to bring in Mark Williams in for a bigger role. You drafted Brandon Miller, who might be taking Hayward's spot. You think about the backcourt with LaMelo and Terry is still there. So it could be a little crowded. So perhaps PJ could come. And then, Brayden, if it actually does happen, do you think a package of Rubio, Wade, and a pick or two could work? Like, does Charlotte expect heavy value, or do you think it's kind of a case of we'll take any assets we can get at this stage if they choose that they want to just do a sign and trade?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not quite sure what Charlotte's plan here is. So I mean, as you mentioned, they got a loaded front court now of young guys. Bridges is back, Brandon Miller. They got their 2 young centers, Mark Williams, Nick Richards. So, it's just kind of seems like they don't want to pay him the money right now. He is about to turn 25, so he's kind of not quite young anymore, according to NBA terms.
And Leo DiCaprio terms, too.
Yeah, the Cavs we're getting to the point where we're on our last fume of gas as far as trade assets. Got no more firsts that we can trade until, like, I believe 2029 or something like that.
Oh boy, yeah.
Maybe it might be like 2028, 27, something like that. But then you got just looking at it, we got 7 second-round picks over the next 6 years, and then just a few smaller contracts. You got Rubio, Wade, and Okoro all making around 6-7 million. I think we'd like to keep Okoro out of those conversations.
Definitely keep him out.
Yeah, I mean, I think he'd be a dream pickup if you can snag him. Feel bad sending Rubio out second time after he is out of the conversation. Well, last year with the ACL injury and this year with him maybe stepping away, just kind of throwing his contract around. But yeah, we'll see how that plays out. It's interesting. So we still do got 2 more open roster spots, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, Ricky Rubio, just to put it flatly, and we don't know. And what my best guess is what happened last year was the injury recovery combined with the fact that he wasn't ready at the start of the season. He was thrust in midway. He hasn't had that happen before, other than only playing 41 games in his debut season. And then that 14-15 year, he was limited. He had been healthy for 8 out of his first 10 years playing at least 65 games in all of them. I missed one. He's been on the court regularly. When he was in Utah, when he was in Phoenix, he was healthy. And then he had that comeback year in Minnesota. He's never shot the ball very well. And he's been under 40% all but 4 years of his career. It was a career low 34% last year, 25% from three. And by the way, he played 16 playoff minutes, took one shot, missed it. So there's a lot obviously going on, which probably led to him making this decision. But you tell me before last season, 3-year, $18 million, I thought that was amazing value. And now it obviously becomes tradable with 2 years and $12 million left. I could see a possibility of a Dean Wade, a Rubio in 2 seconds. I think you have to keep some form of picks to include in future trades. I mean, not that Jay Crowder is a guy who gets the job done per se, but that's what it took the Bucks to get that type of player. In the KD trade, there were a lot of seconds. The Bradley Beal trade featured a lot of seconds. Certain guys can be had if you just have enough second-round picks. It might not work in 2K, but in the NBA, second-round picks actually hold real value. So when you think about it, just keep something. And I could probably see a scenario, Brayden. Obviously, I don't want it to happen. I don't know that Jared Allen actually finishes out his contract. I think at some point, if you don't do enough, that does continue to surface, kind of like how Kevin Love was on the block for almost his entire Cavs tenure after year one. You may have wanted to upgrade. You may have wanted to change it. He's the kind of guy that could net you a couple of firsts to help give you more tradable assets for future deals if you don't make anything now. But I think he's their only player, in my opinion, that could be traded at some point and net you serious value. Because there is no way, and you can book this, save it, whatever, that they trade Donovan Mitchell. If it doesn't work out, he'll walk. I don't expect that to happen either, but there's no world where the Cavs trade Donovan Mitchell like some of these users have been replying. I've been kind of sick even seeing that because it's not realistic. It's not feasible. And have we ever seen a guy in Cleveland, other than LeBron, that on social and just anytime we see him do anything, he's so happy. He loves these guys. He's not leaving. It matters. Culture matters. He's part of a great one. He's not leaving.
Yeah. I mean, you're a history buff. I'd say, would you say last season from Donovan Mitchell was the best non-LeBron Cavs season that we've ever had?
Oh, dude, easily.
Yeah.
71-point game, most threes made, most 40-point games in a year. He put up some incredible, and he would have been all-star MVP if not for Jason Tatum. Also going nuke. I think he had 55. Don had like 46. He was crazy. And the thing about Mitchell is that these big guys have never really come here. That is a top 2 biggest trade ever. Technically speaking, I think the Cavs traded. Did they trade for LeBron in Miami? I think they sent some kind of pick over there.
I think it might have been a sign and trade sending him down to Miami.
It wasn't quick fact check this. It matters here for context. I do know that one was a sign and trade. And then KD was the sign and trade with the Nets. LeBron transaction. Okay, yeah, no, you're correct. He did not. Nemanja Nedovic, Jay Crowder, Lualu Cabarro, and Milan Makvan were the picks that got traded for LeBron. Wonderful. All right, yes, I call it the biggest trade we've ever made. No question.
Yeah, I'd say so.
He's awesome to watch. He's a great guy. After you lose Larry Nance Jr., you needed, I think, a great ambassador for the city. I think Mitchell does that. It's not the be-all, end-all. It helps that he's a great person as well. But I think every team just needs that one person on the roster that can kind of lead those efforts, give back. It can be public or we can know nothing about it. But they have that teammate of the year for a reason. I think it's important to have those big guys doing that. I think it sets the tone, and I think that's where the culture comes in. They're spending their off time. They're spending their holidays. They're not with their family, with the less fortunate. And I think it translates to a locker room where they're good people. They're voicing their opinion, and there's cohesion.
Yeah. I mean, we saw Donovan Mitchell last season just like buy into what JB Bickerstaff is putting into place here in Cleveland. Towards the end of his career down in Utah, he started the defense definitely started to slip to the back of his mind, but we saw him ramp up those efforts in Cleveland. We saw him excel in more of an off-ball role next to Garland. He's doing the things asked of him while being the best player on the team, and so that means something for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Can't wait for the season. See how many games they actually win. We're about a month out from training camp. Season does start a week later this year. You got the in-season tournament coming in, which I'm still holding all thoughts until it happens because MLS has it, WNBA has it. All the only leagues that don't are hockey, football, baseball. But it's pretty much just you're going to play teams, and the only thing that's going to feel weird is that the WNBA has, as mentioned. The only thing that's going to be weird, I think, Brayden, as we wrap up, is going to be that Vegas weekend where the other teams are off, and there's just the one or two get that one game slate in the mid-December is going to stink. That day is going to be terrible. Where there's one game, it's December, the beginning, albeit it's going to mess up the schedule, I think, a little. And then the Cavs also have the Paris game. So there's going to be, could be 2 periods where they're barely playing. So hopefully it doesn't mess up chemistry, speed, or just game flow, right? And that's all we could hope for.
Yeah. I mean, if the Cavs win the in-season tournament, then it's the greatest invention ever, in my opinion.
Oh, easily. Just call the MVP trophy the Donovan Mitchell Award.
There you go.
Boom. But Brayden Todd, a pleasure to have you on today. Looking forward to the next one as when the season gets underway.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's always a pleasure conversating with you. Thanks for having me on.
He's Brayden Todd. You can find him at Bray_NBA. You get threads, you get some articles, you'll get everything. You like the Cavs, you're not following him. Well, 4,000 people beat you to it. You could be the 4,000 first, second, third, fourth, and so on. Highly recommend it. You should do it. You should also follow Network 216 on YouTube and on Twitter at Network 216. My ad is right there. It's beautiful. It's at Across Cavs. Go to Instagram, Across the Cavs. I'm Zach Weiss. He's Brayden Todd, and we will see you real soon.